Nuggets, they're tied, if you look here, with the Clippers, the Warriors, the Wolves, the Grizzlies in the loss column. And that kind of traffic jam, it happens every morning over on the 101, but it hasn't happened in the NBA since 1970, 1971. We're just 5 days away, remember, from the playoff picture being completely locked in. So let's just take a look at the strength of schedule, which we have here for ease, right? Because look at the Nuggets. They got the toughest remaining slate. And then you look at the Timberwolves, they have the easiest. The Thunder, of course, they secured the top seed, but that number 2 spot, it's still in play for both the Rockets and the Lakers. That said, Houston's magic number is just 1 to clinch it. And here's where things get really interesting. Okay, this is insane. It's overwhelming, but look at this, 3 through 8. Totally up for grabs.
The Lakers could be 2 through 8.
Exactly. The Nuggets, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Wolves, the Grizzlies all have a chance to land anywhere within that range. And tonight, the stakes, they couldn't be higher. Now, the Denver Nuggets, they don't play till tomorrow. They take on the Sacramento Kings, but they will be doing so without their head coach of the last 10 years in Michael Malone. Our Charania is here with more. Shams, it's the timing. I keep saying it again and again of his firing that is so shocking. What led to this decision?
Essentially, Denver Nuggets ownership believed that they need to pull the plug now, that there was a decision that was coming at the end of the season. Calvin Booth, for all intents and purposes, was likely going to be out after the season. There had been something of a Cold War brewing between Michael Malone and Calvin Booth, the heads of this organization. And the way the season was going and trending, 4 straight losses, they felt something needed to change. And if you're going to dismiss one or the other come summertime, just dismiss them both together. And so Josh Kroenke called both into separate meetings this morning in Denver, weren't together, and that's for a reason. They called them both in separately, and he decided to flip the culture, and he didn't want to wait. He wanted to inject this team with some life going into the playoffs. And as stunning as this was for both Michael Malone, Calvin Booth, this was equally as stunning to players when Josh Kroenke and Nuggets management informed them of this decision after it was out there. And the players are stunned as well. And what message now do they have going into the playoffs and the finishing moments of this season?
Yeah, and that's sort of the question that I think all of us have now is there's only a couple of days to flip the page and to try to make a deep postseason run. We just laid out, Brian, how precarious of a situation the Denver Nuggets are in right now. How do they continue and try to have a deep playoff push?
Well, Josh Kroenke, the team's governor, gave an interview to their in-house media. Vic Lombardi, who's one of the TV hosts at Altitude, which is owned by the team. And what has come out so far from that is that he wants the team to play with more joy and to have fun again, which I'm sure they'll be more articulated later. But it sounds like what the message he's trying to send is move away from Michael Malone, who was definitely a pound the rock, beat the team down, very aggressive, very intense style, to sort of a more lighthearted style. Maybe. I mean, and to me, I would say Jamal Murray's hamstring is a bigger concern than whether the team is in a better mood. But as Perk showed us with those clips, something within the team wasn't working. That style delivered them a championship and hundreds of wins over the years. But Josh Kroenke believes that at this point, they need that change-up. We'll see if that works. Maybe in 3 weeks, they're on a run and we say it was genius. But today, it feels like it's a little bit risky.
You know why? You know why he feels that way, Wendy, when he talk about playing with more joy? Because we've been watching, although Jokic have been putting up monster numbers, that joy hasn't been there for him, right? We've been seeing signs of frustration. And he's so talented that he could still play through all that and put up Wilt-type numbers. But imagine Jokic playing with that joy and that happiness again. And here's another thing, right? This firing doesn't happen without the okay from Nikola Jokic. And I know reports are probably going to continue to come out. I know this is fresh, but it's nowhere in hell you can make me believe with a player to that stature that he didn't have anything or say in far as Michael Malone being fired. I said the same thing when Mike Budenholzer was let go from the Milwaukee Bucks. I said the same thing when it came down to Darvin Ham getting let go from the Los Angeles Lakers. The players have a say, especially when you're talking about best players in the world, superstar caliber players. And guess what? It's okay. It's okay. I never said I had a problem with players having a say in who they want as their coach or if they need a new voice. My only problem that I ever had with players is them not owning it. And I'm not saying that Jokic is not going to own it. Hell, we may not ever hear reports. They may keep it tight-knit. They may protect them, which they should do, which is why they fired both the GM and the coach, because they're saying, we got Nikola Jokic. We got to make sure we protect him. We got to make sure that he retire as a Denver Nugget and deliver another championship.
Well, certainly history tells us that star players, they do have a say at times within these sorts of big decisions made within different organizations. But Shams, do we have any insight right now as to how this is reverberating with Nikola Jokic only ever having known Michael Malone as his head coach in the NBA?
Malika, Josh Kroenke and the Denver Nuggets ownership, they of course informed Nikola Jokic, tried to give him a heads up that this was coming. But this was the Kroenkes, this is the Denver Nuggets as an organization, not picking a side between Calvin Booth and Michael Malone. That was a decision that was coming at the end of the season, no matter how this season ended. Unless it ended in a championship and there was confetti falling from the skies in Denver, they were going to make a move. And everyone around the league expected it to be Calvin Booth. Now, the fact that it is Michael Malone, that goes to some of what Brian just said about them trying to, I guess, change it up, play with more joy. But how does that actually happen, right? We saw it occur similarly with Taylor Jenkins in Memphis. It's like, let's figure out how we want to play differently. Can we infuse a different style? But to me, it's really, you feel like your season is going to end in a way that's not favorable for you. So you're getting out ahead of this decision. But this is a team that is fighting. You talk about that 4 to 8 range right now in the standings, or 4 to 7. They're all jumbled up. So they could very easily be in home court, or they could be fighting for the play-in. It is stunning for a team in 4th place for a championship coach to be fired with just a couple games left before the end of the regular season.
Nikola Jokic has never been the type of player who works closely with ownership on decisions. But regardless of whether that conversation took place, Perk, you showed the video earlier, the ownership is seeing what you saw, which is, Jokic's intensity level maybe not be where they think it should be. You would never know by his stats because his statistics are incredible. In fact, with that 40-point game on Sunday, he actually achieved like Wilt Chamberlain stuff. He's averaging a 30-point triple-double now. He's averaging 30.0 points with his triple-double numbers. But obviously, they are paying attention to his body language and the way his intensity is on the court. And that may be just as powerful as anything he could have said about the state of the team.
Well, it feels, though, that they're not looking at the complete team right now. They can't. There's no Jamal Murray. He hasn't been out there for 5 games. And Jamal Murray, we have talked about endlessly on this show, is so incredibly important to any sort of title run or deep playoff run that this team is willing or is going to make, rather. They fire Michael Malone instead. Okay, fine. That's the decision that they made. But, Perk, I don't know that I sit here and feel better about the Denver Nuggets today with a new head coach than I did yesterday with Michael Malone. Jamal Murray still isn't out there. How do you feel?
And guess what, Malika? I have the same feelings as you about this Denver Nugget team. This season is a wash. I feel the same way about the Memphis Grizzlies. Both are dead bird, tall grass. But let me say this. Now it comes to the conversation, because this is another conversation. This is something, Shams, I want to ask you. Okay, you fire Calvin Booth. Now all of a sudden you got to get someone that's going to replace him, right? And now it's a different conversation, because you do have Nikola Jokic, right? And we have a lot of conversations on here day to day about a team like the Phoenix Suns and the Kevin Durant and what the offseason look like. And even if Jamal Murray does come back, is he going to be 100% dealing with a hamstring injury? Absolutely not. And the way that the West is stacked up, you need a Jamal Murray to be 100%. And no one could tell me that we're sitting up here, we watched the Boston Celtics go out and get Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis last year to upgrade their roster, went on to win a championship. We watched we watched the Bucks make a move to get Damian Lillard. We watched the Cavs make a move to get DeAndre Hunter. We watched OKC in the offseason go and get Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. We're watching all these teams, Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks. All these teams go all in to make sure they surround their player to have the best shot at winning the title. And you can't tell me that the future is like they're looking at this team and saying, oh, yeah, we actually could win a title with this team after not re-signing Caldwell Pope, Bruce Brown, and Jeff Green after they won the title.
The Nuggets have always run a little bit more fiscally responsible. That I don't see that changing, and they've always gone out and hired good young executives. They have not valued their executives who have had success. They have let them walk, and they have hired good young executives, and they've repeatedly been able to find them. So I'm not surprised that the Denver ownership thinks that they can't find another good executive. They do move a little bit slower with coaches, whether it's in hockey or basketball or soccer. So that I'm a little bit surprised about. But obviously, Josh Kroenke has articulated they felt they needed a change of mood. And I don't know, maybe vibes will make a difference here, but I don't know.
I'm not sure that vibes, though, is the way that you measure firing a head coach. It seems like a little bit more needs to go into it than just that.